This is the Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage show by Mark Helm. Nothing Mark shares with you guarantees your success in the self-storage business. This is for informational purposes only. There are no calls to action, and nothing said or implied is a call for investment money into self-storage or any other asset class. You are responsible for your success in the self-storage business or any endeavor in life. Enjoy the show, and here is Mark Helm.
Millennials are becoming a bigger and bigger part of the customer base for self-storage. Right now it's well over 20% and it's going up approximately 4 to 5% in the past year. Let's talk about millennials, that generation in the self-storage industry. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Quickstart Academy, which houses the training that I offer the small investor who wants to get in the self-storage business or grow their self-storage business. You can find out more about what I offer at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com. Hit the store tab and you'll see the courses I offer. Go to the training and blog section, you'll see all the free training that I offer. But recently at the Inside Self-Storage Convention 2026, once again, I saw that millennials were taking a larger and larger percent of the self-storage customer base. So rather than just rely on industry talking points and what I see in the publications, I thought I would do a deep dive research on my own into this generation currently and see how this generation could be impacting today's storage demand and, more importantly, future storage demand. And I was actually quite surprised with some of the stuff I learned. Now, as part of the boomer generation, there was a lot of stereotypes just a few years ago about the millennial generation. One of them was avocado toast. That's what one influencer called the millennial generation. In 2017, Tim Gurner said that this generation, the millennials, could not afford homes because they were spending $19 for avocado toast and $5 for a cup of coffee, implying they're financially irresponsible. Also, lazy and entitled is a typical stereotype I heard about the millennial generation. They had an inability to take criticism and failure to launch. Like a lot of them are living in their parents' basements in their 30s. You know, those stereotypes, the ones we've all heard. Now, that wasn't my particular experience with this generation. My real estate business partner is a millennial, and she's a force of nature, Charlotte. I mean, she can run circles around anyone I know with her work and her work ethic, and she is way smarter and more productive than I ever was as a real estate agent, even in my most productive years. But I always assumed that Charlotte was kind of an outlier, like not typical of the millennial generation. But given that a growing percentage of our customer base is millennials today, and I'm always trying to look into the future and anticipate storage demand and what's going to be impacting it, what's happening today and what's happening in the future that's going to be impacting storage demand, I thought I'd do my own research. Well, not only is my partner a force of nature, but this generation itself is a force of nature. It's the largest generation in the U.S. population. It accounts for 22% of the population, the largest percent of any generation currently in our population. Now, millennials are people born 1981 to approximately 1996. Z is a generation that was born in 1997 to approximately 2012. It comprises 21% of the population. Then you've got Gen X, 65 through 80, and it comprises approximately 19%. And don't forget the baby boomers, typically defined as 1946 to 1964, 65, and currently they account for 19% of the population. So the millennials are the largest segment of the population, and you combine them with Gen Z, it's pushing on half. Now, my ideas about the millennial generation, primarily from the stereotypes, I'll admit it, was that they don't own a lot of assets. Well, what I discovered is that couldn't be further from the truth. Some of my research, specifically the financial reserve distributional financial account data, showed that millennial households, their wealth grew approximately 101% from the years 2019 to 2023. It grew 12.7% alone in 2024. In 2024, the average net worth of the millennial generation was $333,000. Even more importantly, it is anticipated that about 62% of that generation is expecting inheritances of real estate in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, this is going to have a tremendous impact on self-storage demand in the next 5 to 10 years just from this generation alone. What are they going to do with mom and dad's stuff? Well, typically self-storage is an answer that many of them choose, and the average length of stay when younger family members are dealing with inheritance is anywhere from 6 to 18 months, sometimes even longer. And my research also showed that we're starting to hit that impact on that curve like now. And it's not just inheriting assets. Millennials are acquiring assets. And they're acquiring assets at a big rate. It just looks a lot different than what it might have looked like for boomers. Look at this statistic that I discovered. Millennials have roughly quadrupled their net worth since 2019 and crossed the 15 trillion in aggregate in assets in 2024. And at comparable ages, they are now wealthier than both Gen X and boomers were. Millennials in their 30s, 57% of them own homes. And they also invest in what we call house hacking, we'll talk about in a minute, fractional real estate interests, and short-term rentals. Now, interestingly enough, like 100% in the face of the stereotype that many of us had, 99.3% of millennials today own assets. Now compare that to 97.5% of Gen Xers and 93.8% of baby boomers. Besides houses and real estate, here's some other asset classes that millennials own a lot of as a percentage. House hacking, where you buy duplexes, live in one, and rent the others out. Millennials in their 40s have become the highest earning homeowners of any generation in the U.S. right now. The average income, yearly income, for millennials in their 40s is in excess of $132,000, not including their assets, just their income. They also lead all generations in fractional real estate interests, where you can invest $500 to $5,000 into residential or commercial real estate investments, have no liability on the loans. And older millennials are buying existing cash flowing businesses using SBA financing faster than any other generation in the U.S. today. 63 to 66% of the millennial generations own stocks, and they lead all generations in their investments in ETFs at 58%. Compare that to 47% of Gen Xers and 37% of boomers. So as for impact on self-storage demand, this generation is anything but they don't own an asset. They own a lot of stuff that won't fit into their home. They move more often, and they run more side businesses than any generation. This demographic is going to have a real impact today and in the future on self-storage demand, specifically in the next 5 to 10 years, with the amount of inheritance from boomers, much of it going to millennials. So what am I going to do with all this? What does all this mean? Well, at least for me, I mean, it's like a metric I didn't know anything about or paid no attention to. And I will look at the demographics of the trade areas and opportunities we're looking at. And one of the things I'm going to determine is what percentage of that group is millennials, and are they increasing or decreasing in that specific trade area. Now, it's not going to be my ultimate buying decision, but it's something that wasn't even on my radar screen before I did this research on my own. That's why I'm sharing it with you. You don't hear about this in the talking points in the storage publications, or at least I haven't. So it turns out that my partner Charlotte really is not an outlier for this generation, but I will still put her up against anybody in the millennial generation, as well as any other for that matter. Just my thoughts today as I did my research, and the purpose of these episodes is to learn out loud and just at least share with you what I have my attention on, whether it's good or bad. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer, which is the financial analysis tool we use as we're looking at self-storage opportunities. I invite you to explore it. Go to creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com, hit the Storage World Analyzer tab, or go straight to Storage World Analyzer. Creates fantastic reports for lenders and partners. Thank you very much. See you next week.